Abel excelled at the school swordsmanship tournament, winning 3 matches and earning admiration from Mia. Over lunch, Abel did not fail to notice Mia's intellectual rights on the sandwich, but tensions rose when Abel declared war to Sion, inspired by Mia's unwavering belief in him. With sheer determination, relentlessness, and the power of love on his side, Abel challenged Sion refined counterattacks. The match became a gripping display of effort versus talent, fueled by trust, rivalry, and the desire to rise beyond limits. A true display of anime rivalry.
Ah! Milord, you got cocky.
From the spectator's stands, Keith would calmly watch the match.
Looks like his talents got the better of him. Did he think he could stop the first strike? Although, truth be told, there is rarely a blow that he cannot parry.
Sion continued to dance around Abel's swings, dodging them with the narrowest of margins. Each slice whistled menacingly as it split the air. If even one of those blows hit him, it would have devastating consequences. Nevertheless, his expert evasion ensured they never found their mark. Sion was a genius with the sword, both offensively and defensively, and his mastery was currently on full display.
Prince Abel, though, for sure, Milord did not expect him to pose such a threat.
From their arrival at St. Noel, Keithwood had kept tabs on Abel's swordsmanship. At that time, there was no question that Abel's skills were subpar. He was far below that of the genius of Sion. But now, Abel is overpowering Sion.
Go figure. Looks like I misjudged Prince Abel's potential as well.
At this point, Keithwood was able to accurately see Abel's potential. Abel's talent lies in his knowledge of himself. He can calmly and objectively evaluate his own abilities. He is fully aware of his own shortcomings, yet he refuses to give up. Instead, he was able to think of a way to defeat his opponent and keep it at it tirelessly. Knowledge of oneself, knowledge of the opponent, knowledge of the goal and how to accomplish it. Those were qualities no less impressive than Sion's natural genius. In fact, they would likely become increasingly valuable for both the Remno prince and his kingdom in the future.
The essential qualities of a king, huh? I see. Should Prince Abel become king of Remno, that country will become much stronger.
Abel's talent had begun to bloom. The birth of a wise monarch was something that the common people should feel blessed with. For Keithwood, though,
someone who serves His Royal Highness Sion, he certainly leaves me with some mixed feelings. If relations with Remno go sour down the line, this will only make our lives harder. It's going to be a scary one.
Speaking of which, Keithwood turned his attention to the young girl who hadn't looked away from the match since it started.
I guess the person we should really be afraid of is Princess Mia.
She is the person who created this situation, the mastermind who laid down all the pieces. Of course, Prince Abel's efforts are commendable. His talents deserve recognition and caution, but he was not the initiator of his own metamorphosis. He had been given a push. It was Princess Mia who was behind the scenes, the one who arranged it all.
I see. It all makes sense now. Prince Mia cherishes talented individuals.
Keithwood muttered. At this point, he finally came up with the true essence of Mia. Princess Mia regretted that the talent that was asleep in Prince Abel would go to waste. She could not stand it being buried away by being compared to his brother and to Prince Sion. Looking back at that time of the dance party, choosing Sion as a dance partner was the most obvious and easy choice. It wasn't like Mia, who was called the wisdom of the empire, couldn't see Sion's talent. Nevertheless, Mia chose Abel. She did it to bring out Abel's sleeping talents to light. While pondering about this, he froze. A chill ran up his spine as something dawned on him.
Wait a minute. No, it's not that simple. The story is not so easy. Cherishing talent is one of the qualities of a king. Even if there are soldiers of an enemy country, as long as they're talented and are willing to pledge allegiance to the ruler, it will surely strengthen the country. But that's not surprising or something new. Sion and the King of Songland are always actively courting talented people. Most wise rulers in history had done the same. But Prince Abel, he's not a subject of Princess Mia. And at the time of their meeting, the Kingdom of Remno and the Tearmoon Empire are neither allies nor friends. Mia cultivated Abel's talent, even though Abel's kingdom might become a hostile country in the future. If so, That means... Does this mean that Princess Mia's views sees no borders? Is her worldview unbound by the shackles of race and countries?
Heathwood inhaled sharply as the implications of his realization came into full focus.
By the sun. She doesn't care. Enemies, allies, such concepts are tribal to her. To her, the matter is simple. She's purely worried that there is a talented person whose talent will rot if not cherished.
Moreover, it was likely that the degree of talent mattered little to her. She had taken an extremely merciful stance toward Tiona's harassers. She'd gone as far as to personally plead with Rufina for their forgiveness. He heard that as a result, the offenders, foolish and talentless individuals as they doubtlessly were, now applied themselves to their studies with renewed zeal in an effort to repay her kindness.
She sees talent in every human being. And she will not forgive a talent that is not utilized. She will work hard until those talents bloom. That is the true essence of the great saga of the Empire.
The height from which she saw the world was utterly breathtaking. It was a perspective that surpassed even that of his Lord Sion. Heathwood was keenly aware that amidst the newfound awe he felt for the Tearmoon princess, there was also something else, a budding admiration. He had to pointedly remind himself that his allegiance lay solely with his one and only Lord Sion.
If there ever comes a day that there is a conflict between Songland and the Tearmoon Empire, I should advise Prince Sion to at least stay on good terms with Princess Mia.
Heathwood quietly made a fist as he vowed firmly in his heart. And thus Heathwood also contracted terminal stage Mia-itis. Of course, it goes without saying that all of this exists only inside Heathwood's head, and they were all a delusion, an awfully imaginative one, but nevertheless a delusion. He believed it with all his heart and soul, but that did not change the fact that it was a delusion. It was the delusion to end all delusions. And unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately for Mia, the chances of him ridding himself out of this delusion were very, very low. The harsh screech of the blade meeting blade echoed. There was a subtle change in the match. For the viewers, it seemed trivial, unnoticeable, but for the two fighters in the ring, the change was night and day.
So, you're not really getting serious?
Abel said while grimacing from the feeling from the clash, or rather, the lack thereof. It would have been better if he had felt his sword deflected or if he felt a strong resistance from a block. However, his slash met without much resistance. The momentum of his strike has been parried. He nearly lost his balance that he had to dig his heels into the ground to keep from falling over. You know, I'm not sure how I can get you to believe me, but I've always been serious since we started the match. While staring at Abel quietly, Sion gave a weak smile. I have to say, knowing might be half the battle, but it really is only half. I know where your strike is coming from, but still, it took me almost everything to parry it. That overhead slash of yours is something else. Sion smiled as he slowly lowered his sword and positioned it for a lower stance. In honor of that sharp attack of yours, let me offer you a piece of advice. If you try the same attack once more, then this match will surely end in your defeat, Prince Abel. Sion's smile now changed. What was a weak smile before has turned into a ferocious smile. Abel realized that he was not lying.
Or so you say. In that case, there's only one thing I can do.
Abel raised his sword high above his head. The same position, the same angle, the exact same attack. He changed nothing, boldly presenting Sion with the same all-out aggression of the Remno-style first stance as before. Does this mean that you are giving up? The hint of a frown appeared on Sion's brow. In response, Abel laughed. It was not the laughter of surrender.
Surrender? No. This is how I win, Prince Sion.
Really? Well, it seems like I might have not given you the due respect you deserve. Allow me to change that, Abel Remno. I will do my best to defeat you. Had Abel listened to Sion's words and changed his tactics, Abel's defeat would have been certain. There is no attack that could have let him win in front of Sion's genius in swordplay. But Abel did not waver. He took the same stance that he was most confident in. It was not because he was giving up, but because there is nothing else he can do to win. Shining from his eyes was not a resigned acceptance of defeat, but a fierce hunger for victory. He maintained the same posture not out of desperation, but determination. It was a declaration. This would not be the same attack. He would swing harder, faster, with even more power than before. Sion acknowledged Abel's wordless challenge. He did not see him as a mere opponent, but as a rival. A respected rival who is willing to bet everything he has to gain victory. It was only fitting that Sion matched his resolve. There would be no holding back. The two approached each other, then stopped just at the right distance for a strike. The rain had started to pour heavily, but it seemed these two couldn't feel nor worry about it anymore. The heavy downpour wet and soaked every part of their clothes and body, but neither one of them even blinked. Abel was in a state of intense concentration, focused entirely about hitting Sion with his best strike. Therefore, it was understandable for him to forget or stop caring about everything else around him, and even the reality of the situation. This was no battle, much less a duel to the death. It's just a match to deepen the friendship between students. It's not something that is supposed to cause its contestants to catch cold or risk injury if they continue to fight under the rain. So naturally,
That's the end of the match. Both competitors, swords down. What?
oh well, that's that. I expected this would happen. Sion shrugged his shoulders and sheathed his sword into the scabbard. Apparently he understood fully well what happened, and it didn't seem to be particularly surprised by the referee's decision. I had every intention of finishing this match. Maybe next time. I wonder if this winter's swordsmanship tournament will be the closest opportunity. With that said, Sion smiled at Abel. How about it, Prince Abel? Can you promise me that we will have a rematch? Sion extended his hand.
That is exactly what I want.
Abel took his hand. Thus, with a firm handshake, the tournament match between the two ended.
Prince Abel!
Mia ran up to Abel as soon as he got off the arena. Mia gives her utmost praises to Abel, her champion, who is about to defeat her arch nemesis Sion in just about one more strike.
It was amazing, but, it was regrettable. We were just one step away. Just a little more and, Thank you, Princess Mia. But if I had kept going like that, I would probably have, this must be a curse. It has to be one. I'm sure someone who is jealous of Prince Abel's victory wished for this rain. Some petty jerk out there who didn't want to see you win. You were really so close. This rain, interfering with an honorable match like this, unforgivable. Playing dirty is what it is.
Aha! Let us quickly return to the previous timeline for a moment. For the record, let us bring it out for the fourth consecutive time in an episode that after Mia finished her very lonely lunch, she also spent the rest of the day holed up in her room alone, feeling very sorry for herself. During that time, she happened to overhear that Sion was close to winning the tournament. So she sat and prayed with all her heart for rain to come, and when a sudden shower forced the tournament to conclude, her screams of happiness could be heard. In other words, she had completely forgotten that the petty jerk who played dirty had been none other than herself. Thus, this year's swordsmanship tournament was cancelled due to rain, and the two princesses traded promises of a rematch. What they didn't know, however, was that their chance would come much sooner than they thought and under circumstances neither of them could have predicted. It would take place not within an arena, but on the battlefield, both of them putting their lives on the line. But that's a story for another time.
This is it for this video. We will continue with the story of the Guillotine Princess in the next episode. It was Marco and Brian from Jobless Weeks. Matane!